This episode of Somewhere in Between was recorded at the beautiful Vintage Special Events Center located at 980 Industry Drive in Savannah, Georgia.
Hello and welcome to Somewhere in Between. I am Nikki.
I am Leo.
And today we are going to talk to y'all for real. So every time we come to you guys, we've been kind of more polished, more prepared. And that is not real life. And that is not business all the time. We struggle just like everybody else. And especially right now we are undertaking new industries and moving from one place into the next where our skill set is kind of shaky. We're on a learning curve. We're learning new things. And the skills that we already have are helping us to traverse this new territory. But it's hard.
It's hard, child.
It is hard. And so we are struggling with imposter syndrome.
So let's define what imposter syndrome is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to read because I want the correct definition. So imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomenon or imposterism, is a psychological experience of intellectual and professional fraudulence. One source defines it as the subjective experience of perceived self-doubt in one's abilities and accomplishments compared with others, despite evidence to suggest the contrary. So I think that's important too, that it said, despite evidence to suggest the contrary, you still feel like a fraud. Mm-hmm. So another thing that I want to point out is those who have it may doubt their skills, talents, or accomplishments. They may have a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as fraud.
As a fraud, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Despite external evidence of their competence, those experiencing this phenomenon do not believe they deserve success or luck. They may think they are deceiving others because they feel as if they are not as intelligent as they outwardly portray themselves to be. Mm-hmm. Now, reading that gives a lot of perspective, doesn't it?
Yes. Listening to that, I hope that it gave you guys clarity. So to unpack it and put it in layman's terms, basically, imposter syndrome is when you feel like you're presenting as somebody that you're not, or if you feel like you are pretending to be somebody that you actually are not, despite what you know and what you can prove that you know. So for myself, I am a confidence coach. And what I know is my experience that led to me having to go inward so that I could rebuild myself and regain this confidence. So that makes me the expert in how I rebuilt my confidence, and then taking additional courses online, doing the actual work behind the scenes, not just popping out like, hey, y'all, I know what I'm talking about. Listen to me. I also have degrees. And during one of my degrees, I had to take a psychology course. So there are things that I know that put me levels ahead of other people that are doing the exact same thing. So why do I feel like I don't want to say that I am the expert on this or that I know what I'm talking about? Well, what is going on? Imposter syndrome. That's the problem. And for her?
So for me, it is stepping into a new field. So many of you know that I've been delving into like artificial intelligence for the past year. I know so much, but when it comes to, I guess, I'm going to say an experience that I had that kind of knocked my confidence down. And it wasn't because I didn't do enough. Mm-hmm. It was because of me and the perception of me as being a woman and the only woman in this space. I'm talking about a software that I was picked to use. It was perceived that I didn't know the software. So I want to give something else. So just to add on to that, the term imposterization shifts the source of the phenomenon away from the supposed imposter to institutions whose policies, practices, or workplace culture either make or intend individuals to question their intelligence, competence, and sense of belonging. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened to me. where I knew what I was talking about, but this particular institution made me question myself and go very deep inward and kind of introverted. So I want you to understand that there are things that you have experienced, maybe workplace cultures, policies, practices that make you question your authority or your experience.
Absolutely. That could not be more true. Most of the time you pop out and you're like, oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about. You show up and you are like, I know everything that there is to know. And then sometimes you run into somebody that may know more than you, and then so you're like, do I know enough to even be in this field? And yes, you do. But your experience and the way you deliver the knowledge to the next person is not going to be the same as somebody else or another business that has 500 different people and analysts and whoever else on their team, because they have all this different brain power. You're just one person. So you are absorbing this information and then putting it together in the best way you know how. And somebody needs that. Somebody needs the way that you package it just like that. So everybody has a story, everybody has a purpose, and I want to encourage you guys to keep going. If you have been watching me and following me, I have been forcing myself to keep going, to keep putting out the content, to keep making it, and people are noticing it, and people are complimenting me on it. I get messages and DMs, and people are appreciative of the way that I package my expertise.
And you know what the funny thing is about this person? This person has no tech experience that questioned me, but they were in a higher role than me. So that's what it was. And it was like, dang, do I give the perception
that I don't know what I'm
talking about?
And no.
Because I gave the guy an entire rundown of the business, why I love the product and everything. And I really wanted to be a spokesperson for them. But when he asked me, Doll, do you know how to log in? It was like, Doll.
Listen, see what I'm saying?
Doll. I was
yeah, because I don't know how professional the rest of that call would have been if it was me. Because baby, who are you talking? Doll. First of all, Chucky.
Right.
Because right now you are killing my dreams. Exactly. So first of all, Chucky. Yeah, I just don't even know. Sometimes we hear stories about stuff like that and we're like, if I was in this situation, but you know what? That's not necessarily true, because when I was doing my magazine, we know my situation that happened, and I went inward for like months. It took me a long time to dig my way back out of that. So being hurt in business is a thing. And people say it's not personal, it's business. Everything is personal because you are a person.
Exactly.
Everything is going to be personal, even when you're working for these other jobs and in these other industries. And it may not be your company, but you take your job seriously, or you want to be the best at your job because you don't want to get fired, do you? You have to put your best foot forward. And so when somebody comes to you and says, oh, well, the way you did this, and this, it's just, that's not the way we do things here. It makes you take a step back. Like, did I learn the wrong way? Is it me? Am I the problem? And no, you're not the problem. You know what you know, own it, but it's okay to learn additional things. And if you feel like somebody is making you feel that you don't know what you're talking about, then learn whatever it is that you feel like you did not know. And now you just know more. But that doesn't mean that you knew less than them. It just means that you didn't know everything.
Right. And you can't know everything. There's no way that you can know everything. I mean, we're always learning.
Always.
So I think it was important for me to reach out to you to kind of verbalize, because I didn't even know what it was at first, to verbalize like, hey, this happened to me, and that kind of knocked my confidence down. And I think it's so important for us to have a support system with somebody who is also an entrepreneur.
Right.
And that's why we develop
Somewhere in Between.
Exactly.
It's literally for this purpose, because business, being a woman is hard. Being in business is it's very hard as a woman, especially. And then also not being a part of the cliques. You're not a part of the in crowd. So you don't have these people that you can go to that'll fix the problem for you. You have to do everything yourself. So creating that community that we are trying to build here, Somewhere in Between, is so important and so necessary. We bounce things off of each other because we don't have the trust in other people to be able to go to different sources and find out different information. But creating this group, We want to be able to collaborate with people, to share information, and do so in a safe way where nobody is experiencing that hurt that we've experienced in business.
Absolutely. And we want a place where we can be authentic. For me to have that experience, I needed to be able to bounce it off of somebody who wouldn't judge me, because in these cliques, you want to perceive that nothing happens to you. You don't have any setbacks.
Right.
And that is so not true with business.
It's not true.
Fail.
You fail all the time.
Okay. And so you need that safe space that's not going to go out there and say, oh, so don't you know so-and-so was experienced? No, I already put it out there. So there you go.
Right.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
And that is the reason for this particular episode, because we went back, we looked at some of our episodes, and we realized that the way that we're presenting is exactly the opposite of the people that we're trying to draw in.
Right.
We are humans who don't fit in with, we can fit in anywhere, but who don't feel comfortable everywhere.
Exactly.
So I can go in any crowd and fit in, make friends, and have people, oh, I love you so much. You know so much, and this, that, and the third. But then I don't feel comfortable, or I don't feel that same connection to them. So we want to create a safe space where you can bring your awkward, you can bring your quirky, you can bring your ideas, and just feel free and safe to be you. Yes. And that's what makes our group different from other groups. And it's not that we're in competition, because we'd love to collaborate if need be, or if the situation arises for that.
Yes.
But at the same time, we want a home to be able to feel safe, secure, and to express ourselves as who we are naturally.
And we want you to be the real you. Like, of course, you know, you and I have been in corporate for a very long time, so we know how to be polished and presentable. And that's cool. But this is our business. You know, and we want to bring our real self, you know, the failures, the vulnerability, the challenges, but also the successes, because we have a lot of successes that do happen. Yes. But I think it's important in this time and in this space to be our authentic selves. So, yeah.
And sometimes you may see us like this, where we're sitting up and we're smiling and we're polished. And then there are other times where it's like, girl, let me tell you. And there's going to be some curse words. There might even be some tears, depending on what the situation is. But that is the nature of the beast. It's the nature of being in business. And as women, we are naturally emotional creatures. Even those of us who present as tougher, we still have emotions that go on under the surface. And of course, we're not going to be in the boardroom crying. But when I get out of the boardroom, I want to be able to come to my group and post it in there like, y'all, let me tell y'all what just happened and and how would you handle this? But also creating a space where we are not going into it negatively, where we're just going to bash the company or the experience that was had, but to come up with ways to solve it. We want to solve the problem, and we also want to acknowledge the person's pain. So many times you don't have that acknowledgement, and it's kind of like, okay, am I wrong for feeling like that? Did I do something wrong, or am I being too emotional? Maybe I am. Just having a group where you can be authentic, and you're going to get all these different perspectives, and then you'll be able to see things in a different light and grow from the experience versus going inside and losing your momentum. Because that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. And like you said, to build that resiliency by having the support.
It's so important. Women need community. People need community.
Yes.
And just finding the right one. You got to find your tribe. And we want to be that for you. We need you just as much as y'all need us. Okay? Come on in the room. Come on in the room.
All right. Well, thank you so much for attending this episode with Somewhere in Between.
And have a great day on purpose and confidently, of course, because what else is there? And we will see you guys next time.
All right.
Bye.